Apparently, it was Arts and Crafts Week on Better Call Saul. Jimmy deploys an X-Acto knife, some glue, and a pair of tweezers to sabotage legal documents stacked in his brother's house. Mike uses a hammer, a hose, and some nails to make. Actually, I'm not sure what he's making, but it sure looks as if it could inflict pain. Or destroy tires. It could inflict pain, then destroy tires. For fans of the show's violent streak, and my hand is raised here. Mike's project is promising, but Jimmy's late-night snip-and-paste operation is richer fodder for discussion. Through 18 episodes of the show, a complex fraternal bond between Jimmy and Chuck has slowly emerged, with layers of mutual suspicion, anger, a bit of loathing, and a faint trace of love. It is a tribute to the writers that I believe that Jimmy could simultaneously tend to Chuck, who lies in a psychosomatically induced heap of exhaustion, and cold-cock the guy by doctoring files from the Mesa Verde case. It seems just as plausible that Chuck is sincere when he says that he would comfort Jimmy were he the sick one, even though Chuck has just shanghaied Jimmy by nabbing his girlfriend's only client. People are contradictory, but that doesn't mean they are inexplicable. Rarely is this reality captured on television with anything close to the dexterity seen here. Before we dive any deeper into plot and dialogue, let's pay tribute to what, for me, is the greatest element of this episode. I speak of the 4-minute and 20-second opening, a single and continuous tracking shot that follows a Mexican truck through a United States border station. We shadow the vehicle as it is flagged by agents and pulled over for inspection, as the contents of the truck are examined and x-rayed, as the driver's ID is checked, as the agents who find no cause for concern release the driver and truck, and as the driver unwraps one of the ice cream treats he is hauling. This bravura bit of directing comes to us from Larissa Kondracki, and she deserves an ovation. Tribute is being paid here to Orson Welles and his classic single-shot opening of Touch of Evil, 1958, which follows the doomed occupants of a bomb-laden car as it makes a similar journey, from Mexico to the United States, through a border station. Ms. Kondracki's camera, like Welles's, swoops and glides, both near the action and above it, in an uninterrupted flow that brings up the question, how many takes did this require? Seriously, if the driver at the very end simply fumbles with the wrapper on his popsicle, the whole, elaborate spectacle must be reassembled and filmed again. This scene signals an escalation of the drugs and criminals plot of Better Call Saul, which has been relegated to sideshow thus far. It is safe to assume that it will take up a greater share of screen time because we know from Breaking Bad that Mike is going to wind up in the employ of the biggest meth seller in the Southwest, Gus Fring. He will also have a part-time gig as a handler for Jimmy, once he becomes Saul Goodman. We also know that Hector is going to wind up in a wheelchair, communicating with the world through the ringing of a bell. In other words, Mike will not be an idle spectator of the drug trade, as he is here, staring at it through binoculars. He'll be a participant. The ride from the show's present to its future is going to be a hoot. For now, we watch Jimmy and Kim as they begin their solo practice joint venture, which will operate out of a former dentist's office. Kim's departure from Hamlin, and McGill gives Howard a chance to provide a peek behind those club collar shirts of his. He envies Kim's solo ambitions, he tells her, because he once had those very ambitions himself. I was ready to take on the world, he says, a note of regret in his voice. Make a difference. Dad talked me out of it. Wanted me to join the ranks here. Throw another H in the firm's logo. Howard is gracious enough to pay off Kim's law school debt, but the veneer of warmth vanishes as soon as the meeting is over. Then it's a race to lock down Mesa Verde, which begins with Kim sprinting down a hallway to call her contact at the bank. Initially, it seems as if Kim's pitch will win the day, but Chuck rouses himself into an aluminum foil-lined suit and is driven to a meeting where H&M has a chance to win back the client. I was hoping for a meltdown induced by electrical current, but it's during Chuck's counterpitch that we finally get to see why there is also an M in the firm's logo. He buries Kim by praising her, or pretending to praise her. What he's actually doing is ticking off all the perils that she may not foresee and which may harm Mesa Verde because she is not steeped in the minutiae of banking law. What's most fascinating about this sequence isn't the reverse psychology of the sale Chuck is making. It's relearning that Chuck can be every bit as much the showman as Jimmy.